Hello, and welcome to Kubby TV. This is Steve Kubby, your host. Today we're going to be talking to author Jeff Wright. He's just written a book called Citizens Last Stand. He's got a website called citizenslaststand.com. Jeff, my first question for you is, what do people need to understand about what a monumental task it is to overcome this war on drugs?
The reason we can't seem to end the war on drugs is because people don't understand the economics of the war on drugs. Just look at California. One of the statistics, or one of the facts that I mentioned earlier in one of the panel discussions was the fact that if you looked at the legalization effort in California, for example, what you saw is that the three primary contributors to the anti-legalization campaign in California were law enforcement, fronts that they discovered, contributors that they discovered were fronts for the drug cartels, and the medical marijuana industry in California. You just follow the money. Who makes the money in California? Well, the medical marijuana providers, currently having sole legal status to legally distribute marijuana. The drug cartels, obviously, who make tons of money from the illegal distribution of marijuana in California, and the law enforcement, who get all of the toys and goodies and federal grants and training and money and everything that comes in as a consequence of the drug war. So obviously, it's obvious why those three entities were the biggest contributors to the anti-legalization effort in the last California election. It's the iron triad. Further from that, I mean, if you simply look at the other illegal activities of our government, because the money is so high there has been a propensity by other arms of government, primarily the CIA, to run worldwide, and this has been documented over and over and over again in the heroin trade, that it has been the CIA that was responsible for running a large portion of the illegal international drug trade, simply because they had a need to obtain further funds for their activities. One of the best ways to do it off budget is to obtain those funds through the illegal drug trade in order to fund their other activities, or manipulation of countries through economic manipulation.
What will be the consequences, in your opinion, Jeff, of ending the war on drugs? What are results that we might not anticipate or expect?
Almost half of our prison and jail population in the U.S. incarcerated for nonviolent and victimless crimes. A large number of them only have to do with simple possession and use or use of drugs. When you eliminate that portion of both the prison and the jail population, plus the burden it places on the judicial system, all of a sudden you've completely changed the economic equation when it comes to drugs. And besides the fact that you reduce crime overall because you drive the drug cartels out of business, because they can no longer, when you're selling, if you're selling an ounce of high grade weed for $50 an ounce or $100 an ounce, where it was being sold previously for $300, $400, $500 an ounce by through illegal distribution channels, you drive that money out. There's no longer any reason to have illegal drug cartels. They can't exist. Their money evaporates and goes away. Starting to deal with things like drug addiction in the harder drugs is going to be actually handled as a medical or a social problem and a medical problem. It's no longer going to be handled as a criminal problem. And I think that's the human element that we're finally going to get back to, that's going to really change the equation when we understand, when you take all these negative social effects. I mean, just look at the destruction of the family that is created by drug arrests for simple possession and use. Yet now they have a criminal record. The dad or the mom can't get a job because they now have a drug conviction on their record. You actually destroy the family through prohibition. And when you reverse those effects, guess what? I mean, if people can't see in the last 40 years the deterioration of the family and the culture because of the drug war, they're simply kidding themselves. The effects are there economically, the effects are there socially, the effects are there culturally, in all aspects. Yet people continue to believe in the drug war as somehow preventing something, which you ask, when you give them the facts and ask them to explain, they have no explanations. They don't understand the facts. They don't understand these destructive effects, or they simply ignore them.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Jeff. And our audience can find out more about Jeff and his book, Citizen's Last Stand, at his website, citizenslaststand.com. This has been Steve Kubby, Kubby TV. Check us out on Pot TV, Cannabis Culture website, and other sites. And have a great 420 day.
It's the proximity of what I hope to be. The weight so heavy where I stand. The indecision builds within my twisted sense.